Rurouni Kenshin is underappreciated. It's recognized as a classic, but I rarely see people talk about it. Meanwhile, classics like Bebop continue to get discussed to this day, even after ending. The first thing I love has to be the characters. The way the main group slowly grows, and the various dynamics of the group are enjoyable. The titular protagonist is easily the best character. He's a man trying to escape his murderous past and live as a person who protects others. His conflict with people from his past as well as his backstory are great too. His pacifism is even physically represented in his reverse blade sword, which is very creative writing. Kenshin has great themes and messages that are general for battle manga but still well executed. But one unique theme that interested me was "Don't die for your friends, live for them." This was an interesting spin on the trope of characters fighting to die for their allies. The growth in other characters like Sano and Yahiko are pretty cool too. Both of them go from average or below average fighters to people Kenshin can truly rely on to fight in his place. Hajime Saito is also really cool as an anti-hero. I love the way that he can match Kenshin in power and also knew him from the past. This leads me into fights. The story is a battle manga, but there is no power system. Characters use weapons, fighting styles, and occasionally superhuman prowess. I don't think I've seen another anime or manga approach fights quite like this. A lot of the fights are won by characters figuring out the opponent's fighting style and using or creating a flaw in it. That's such a unique and cool style of battle. Some of the martial arts are actually inspired by real fighting styles and techniques, like Kenshin's ultimate move, which could theoretically work based on the mechanics of the martial art attack. Kenshin is one of the few anime that can scratch my itch for samurai stories. Speaking of samurai, Kenshin actually uses Japanese history to weave its conflict. The way a revolution from Kenshin's past affects the politics and people in the present creates unique forms of problems and enemies that I haven't really seen anywhere else. A lot of the story is grounded in the Meiji era, and the author handles it very well. The villains that Kenshin creates are also exceptional. They all have an ideology that is influenced by their past. They also have recognizable designs and striking personalities. The arcs that surround the villains usually include the heroes taking down their allies one by one before reaching the final boss. I believe that Yu Yu Hakusho, Diamond is Unbreakable, and Kenshin really paved the way for the quality of villains in current battle manga. Prior to these three, I believe a lot of villains were simple in motivations, but Hakusho brought characters like Toguro and Sensui, Diayu brought Kira, and Kenshin brought Shishio and Anishi. These characters were nuanced and complex. I love the anime, but the execution of the manga was a little lacking. I remember I started by reading it, but there was so much dialogue that I wasn't really feeling it. But when I switched to the anime, the pacing became perfect and I was addicted. The final arc in the manga still had the dialogue problem, but the first set of fights against the organization was worth it. After a certain event, I had to stop reading. The event was just so unrealistic for the time period, and Kenshin's reaction to it angered me. But I eventually skipped to the end to see the final fights and how the manga ended, and I actually enjoyed it. All the main fighters got their spotlight and the conflict was finally resolved. I believe that the story desperately needs the Brotherhood treatment. The anime didn't have too much filler, and with a lot of the early filler, I didn't even realize it was non-canon until I checked. This is mostly because the first arc is episodic, so throwing in another episode doesn't disrupt anything. But I feel like a fully canon anime would be so much better, especially one that adapts the final arc too. The anime can shorten the dialogue and animate the epic fights. I believe the show would do just as well today, if not better. That's a sign that an anime is a classic. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and check out my manga. All important links will be in the description.